What's up, guys? This video we're going to analyze on whether a woman's body count matters when it comes to her desirability as a partner and the stability of a relationship. And we're going to really dig deep into the science here and look at the study to get to the real truth on this controversial topic. So this is a topic that's very frequently discussed in the manosphere, and honestly one that I think the vast majority of people are wrong about. So on the left, or the blue pillars, they say, oh, it's none of your business. A woman's body count doesn't matter at all. But the science kind of contradicts that. But then on the other end of the spectrum, in the red pill manosphere, you have guys who have dumb sayings like no hymen, no diamond, and a woman's body count really matters because the more bodies she has, the less likely she is to be a good, stable wife, the more likely she is to divorce you, right? And this is based on a famous study from the Institute of Family Studies. But once you actually dig deep into the study, you realize that the truth is not so simple. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to give you overall my opinion at the end. So this is again from the IFS and says the chance of divorce after 5 years of marriage. So we're going to look at the graph in the yellow because that is from 2000s and up, right? So this is very interesting. So a woman who has 0 partners has only a 5% chance of divorcing you after 5 years of marriage. And again, this is all based on averages. I'm sure there are some girls who are more, some less, blah, blah. This is all based on averages. Once we get to 1 partner, that number jumps to 20%, right? So a woman who has had 1 sexual partner is, I guess, 4 times more likely to divorce you than the girls had 0 sexual partners. Then once we get to 2 partners, it goes all the way up to 30. So that is a significant difference. However, here's where things get very, very interesting. Once we go from 2 partners to 3 partners, actually the chance of divorce goes down by 4.5%. When we go from 3 partners to 4 to 5 partners, it further goes down to like about 24%. So that is 6% less than a woman who is at 2 partners. Actually, that's not correct. It's not 6% less. It's much more than that. But again, we're talking about an overall. So it's a pretty noticeable downwards trend. Then once we go from 4 to 5 partners to 6 to 9 partners, it slightly goes up to slightly higher than 25%. And then when we get to 10 plus partners, only then does the chance of her divorcing you become higher than the girls at 2 partners, right? So this is very interesting, right? So you would think that if, there's something about a girl having sex with 1 additional guy that caused her to be more likely to, divorce you, right? That you would see the trend going like this, or at the very least it would be like this. But you definitely wouldn't expect to go like this and then like this, right? So why does that happen, right? And again, I think the vast majority of people in the red pill community manosphere, they haven't actually looked into the data. They just say, oh, more bodies, more likely chance she is to divorce you, right? But when you look actually at the data, that's where things get interesting. So the author of the study actually has some very interesting thoughts about this, which I agreed with. So this is a direct quote from the guy who actually conducted the study. Obviously, one of the most common reasons for premarital abstinence is religion, and NSFG data supports such interpretation. Figure 2 shows that women who marry as virgins are far more likely than other women to attend church at least once a week. Right? So is it a causation or correlation thing? Well, this guy thinks, the guy who did the study, that's a correlation thing, meaning that religious people are way less likely to get divorced because of the stigma, because they're worried about being ostracized from their, their community, or just because, they think that that will make you go to hell, right? And women who have had 0 sexual partners are way more likely to be religious, right? So that is the reason why they're not getting divorced. However, divorce is not always a bad thing, right? Sometimes if you're in an unhappy relationship, being divorced can be a good thing. Even though this is anecdotal, I can tell you with my parents, they were married for like 25, 30 years, right? And it wasn't really a happy marriage. As soon as they got divorced, they are both now significantly happier. And their relationship is actually better. They're actually really good friends now versus when they were, married, they low-key hated each other, right? So being divorced is not always a bad thing, even though the red pill community makes it seem like it is. No, if you're in an unhappy relationship, being divorced is a good thing. So all the women who've had 0 sexual partners are religious and staying married. It doesn't mean that they're happy or the husbands are happy. It just means that, they're not getting divorced, right? So that's not necessarily a good thing. So anyway, so that's basically the reason, as the author thinks, why the women who have, 0 sexual partners are way less likely to get divorced. Here's another quote. In most cases, a woman's 2 premarital sex partners includes her future husband and 1 other man. The second sex partner is firsthand proof of a sexual alternative to one's husband. These sexual experiences convince a woman that sex outside wedlock is indeed a possibility. The man involved was likely to have become a partner in the course of a serious relationship. Women inclined to hook up will have had more than 2 premarital partners. thereby emphasizing the seriousness of the alternative. Of course, women learn about the viability of non-marital sex if they have multiple premarital partners. But with multiple partners, each one represents a smaller part of a woman's sexual and romantic biography. Having two partners may lead to uncertainty, but having a few more apparently leads to greater clarity about the right man to marry. The odds of divorce are lowest with 0 or 1 premarital partners, but otherwise, sowing one's oats seems compatible with having a lasting marriage. So basically, what the author of the study is saying is that if the woman has had, just 2 sexual partners, right, then she's like, oh, fuck, like, what if I could do better, right, because she has such a small frame of experience. But if she has like 5 or 6 sexual partners, right, she has more, experience with men, so she knows, she's like, I've already kind of played the field, and I'm quite confident about my choice. And that theory definitely makes sense to me, because why else would the graph go like this? So I think this is very interesting, right? And also another thing I want to add to this is that, this is not talked about in the study, but I'm going to say, is that women who have had, I would say like, way more than 10 partners, like we're talking 40, 50, 100 partners, I don't think it's actually the act of them having sex with each man that changes like their brain chemistry and makes them more likely to get divorced. I think it's more of a correlation thing, because the women who have a high degree of sexual partners are probably very much novelty seekers, right? They need that novelty. Their brain works on novelty. And furthermore, chances are they have validation issues. So chances are they're seeking validation through sex. And that is what's going to make the woman more likely to divorce you, right? Because again, if she's high novelty seeking and, she needs validation from other men, unless she's worked on that issue, why would she stay in a stable marriage? Also, she could have some self-sabotage issues where anytime a relationship starts going well, because maybe she was abused in the past, she's going to start self-sabotaging that relationship. Again, of course, this is speculation, but I think that is why when you get past 10 partners, right, the odds of divorce go up. So I think that is very interesting. So what is kind of my perspective on this, right? Well, me personally, I would not actually want to be in a serious relationship with a girl who has 0 sexual partners, because chances are that means she's religious, and I am someone who's agnostic, right? So I don't want a deeply religious girl, because we just have conflicting values. But furthermore, I think any girl who's past the age of, 20, 21, 22, who has 0 sexual partners, right, probably has a lot of hangups about sex, right? She's probably going to have a lot of shame around sex, a lot of taboo, and that's not really the kind of girl that I want to be in a relationship with. I want a girl who fucking loves sex. I want a girl who is into shit, like she wants to, get into BDSM, she wants to be fucked hard, she's into shit, she knows what she wants sexually, and she's fucking good in bed. I don't want a girl who just like lays there and does nothing and prays to God the whole time, right? But at the same time, if I'm getting into a serious relationship with a girl, I probably wouldn't get into one with a girl who has like a 50 or 100 bodies, because again, that implies that she's very novelty seeking, right? And she probably has validation issues. And I think a woman's age also comes into the picture. So for example, even though I probably wouldn't date a girl who's 19, if I did decide to do that, and she has like 25 bodies, right? That would be kind of a red flag, because that is a lot for her age, right? That's like, okay, why does she have that many bodies? Again, I don't really give a shit about her having sex with other guys before me. It's more of the why and what that determines in her suitability as a partner, right? But if the girl's like 33, 34, and she's been with 20 guys, that's pretty reasonable. That's like 1 new guy every 6 months, right? I fuck like 2 girls a week, so who am I to judge a girl that? So I think that is pretty reasonable. So those are the factors you have to consider. But again, me personally, I would not want to be with a girl who's like just has 0 experience with men. But also for serious dating, I would not want to be with a girl who's just basically, fucked 100 guys, because again, that's going to basically determine her, to be a little bit more novelty seeking, less likely to be a serious partner. But the one big thing I want to add with this, I think the red pillars, they're really obsessed with this body count thing. They're like, oh, I want a girl with lowest body count. And girls can typically pick up on that energy, right? There's probably something the guy says or does that shows her that. The problem is, if the girl likes you and she can tell that this is a really big thing for you, what do you think is going to happen? She's probably going to lie to you. By having that kind of attitude and that kind of paranoia, you're basically incentivizing cheating, incentivizing lying, which is again is something that you don't want, because why would the girl not lie? She likes you. She thinks you're a good guy. She wants to be in a relationship with you, but she can tell you're super paranoid about her sexual past. So in her mind, she's going to backwards rationalize the lie, saying, well, this is what's best. He's probably, a little paranoid about this. I'm just putting him at ease. It's a little white lie. And then, you're going to hear the kind of answer that you want to hear, but it's not actually going to be the truth, right? So I think really this is kind of how my mind works and how I think you should work. For casual sex, I think it makes no difference as long as the girl gets tested. I don't think it fucking matters. Again, I think that a lot of people on the manosphere and on the right, they say, oh, you know, her pussy is going to be loose, it's going to be all used up. I think those are the kind of guys who actually have very little sexual experience with women. That's not really how it works, right? Unless she's like into porn and fetish porn where she gets fucked by guys who have 14-inch schlongs and literally has a fucking medical injury. Her pussy's not going to be any looser than the girl who's like whatever, had a few bodies. It makes no difference. Like, do you really think a woman's body can tell the difference between her having sex 100 times with one person or, you know, once with 100 people? No, it's the same fucking shit, right? So I think for, you know, casual sex, it makes no difference. For dating, I would say it does make a difference. You know, you probably want a girl who's kind of in that Goldilocks zone, unless you're someone who's religious, in which case you probably want a virgin. But if you're someone who's not really religious, likes to have good, good kinky fucking sex, you want a girl who's in the Goldilocks zone when it comes to dating, you know, who has more than maybe 2 or 3, you know, sexual partners in the past, but, you know, it's fairly reasonable for her age, probably less than 20, less than 25. Again, that will depend on her age, and that's what I would call the Goldilocks zone according to the science and according to just common fucking sense.